Hi friends, welcome. Today I am going to do a video for you that's a little bit different than the norm. So 10 years ago or so, I used to write articles for Modern Mom. And one of the articles that I wrote that was extremely popular, and I think it's because it really helped people, was on budgeting and money. And the article was simply what I personally do to budget and live within my means and how I handle and manage that. So part of the reason that I really want to do this video is because money can be such a taboo topic and it needs to be discussed. It's especially taboo amongst women. So I'm here to do what I can to help change that. No, first and foremost, I am not a financial advisor. I have an economics degree. I've naturally been drawn to creating budgets since the time I was a teenager. It's just a skill that I feel like I have that I can help pass on. And I can share with you what works for me. As someone who's in my 40s, I have lived at all different kinds of incomes, from very small ones to larger ones to then that changing because I've went through divorce. So I have lived all over the place when it comes to income. And what I can tell you is that this skill, this ability to manage money, is what has kept me safe throughout all kinds of transitions. And I see so many people struggling with it, and I feel like it's the part that's frustrating is that this is not being taught in schools. There are lots of parents that aren't teaching this, and it may be that they don't have the skills themselves, right, to pass on. And so that energy just kind of, it feels like it just gets passed on from generation to generation, that struggle. And I want to help pass on any information I can that's useful to me, that helps me, that I feel like when you learn how to manage money and you learn how to manage your finances, it really helps your well-being because it is a fact of the life that we live. Money is a part of the world that we live in right now. And part of being well is being able to manage your money, okay? It's important, just like healthy eating is. It can relieve so much stress and anxiety when you have a handle on it. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't go through times where maybe you feel stressed or maybe something happens. So let's just get into how I started from the time I was young, what helps me get on this path. One, I think that my parents, when I was younger, always made me save half. So if I got money from my grandparents for my birthday or for Christmas, I always had to save half. It was non-negotiable. That's what was happening. It wasn't a choice. I was a child. You have to save half. That was a huge lesson. That was so helpful to me. So then by the time I got a job and I was a teenager, I was in the habit of saving half. And I did that when I worked as a teenager. So I had all kinds of jobs, camp counselor. I was a lifeguard. I babysat. I worked at a pizza shop. All of these jobs, I was saving half or more if I could. And that was because that was ingrained in me from the time I was little. Now, it's okay if your kids are older and they're past that stage, it's okay. There's lots you can do to help teach them. But for those of you that don't have kids yet or have young kids, it's one suggestion that I think was really helpful that helped me because it was a lesson in living below your means, right? So later on, also when I was in high school, sometimes my parents would allow me to go buy groceries that we needed or that I wanted. They would let me go to the grocery store and buy the groceries, and I would use their debit card because, I was still a kid, and I would then balance the checkbook. And that is something we don't do anymore because of online banking. But in doing that, in balancing the checkbook, it makes you very aware of your spending. It's like you're really looking at it each time. So whatever you have to do to really be paying attention to where your money is going, that is extremely important, okay? It's too easy for just everything to be electronic and for us to become unconscious of where our money is going. So this is where budgets become even more important, because you need to control where your money is going so that your money doesn't control you and control your life and put you in situations where you feel like you need to be asking for money or asking for help, because that is just not a place that you want to be in. I want you to be in that like totally self-sufficient, taking care of yourself, well-being situation. Now, it is a totally different thing in emergencies, okay? Because I just want to be very clear, I'm not talking about emergency situations that are true emergencies. Things happen to people. Someone gets ill, someone loses a spouse whose income was incredibly important to the family. So emergency situations aside, this is just, for all the times that are not extremely an emergency that, just can't be helped, right? Because that's a part of life. There are lessons in all of those, but this is not what that's about. So what I used to do before I had so much technology on my phone, and this is something that you can still do, was I had a sticky note that I kept in my purse. Okay, so I had the money that comes in, and first and foremost, what are the bills that have to be paid? Your rent, your mortgage, utilities, those go first. And you just you consciously look at and write down how much money you need for each thing. Sometimes you're estimating it. It's always better to estimate up by a couple of dollars so that you know that you have enough. And then if it happens to cost less, then you have a few extra dollars. That's great. So one of those things, though, that you should, so your bills first, what you absolutely have, what you need, it could be your cell phone on there too. For a lot of people, their cell phone is actually very important. But another key factor is learning to separate needs from wants, okay? Because, for example, it is really convenient and nice to have a car, but in a lot of cases, it's truly not a need, it's a want. It's one that we've really relied on, but there are other ways to get places if you do not have a car, and cars come with gas costs, they come with maintenance costs, tires and brakes, all the things. Cars cost a lot of money besides even just paying for the car. So for some people, if you find that how much you have coming in is less than how much you have going out, there might be some things in there that you really need to take a look at that you feel like is a need, but maybe actually isn't, including some cell phones. So really, if you're really, really struggling, taking a really close look at what's a need and what's a want, so that you basically need to make your expenses fit within the amount of money that you have coming in. You need to make sure that the money goes first and foremost to the bills that you need so that you have a place to stay, that you have a roof over your head, okay? So, for example, some people's income actually is not consistent either because, say, you work hourly. So what I would suggest is putting in the amount that pretty much you usually get paid. So the lower amount, because then living off of that. If you happen to get a paycheck that happens to be a bit more, you worked a bit more hours, then you have extra income that you can then allot to other things. So first you start with the bills that you have to pay. And then you see, what do I have left over? How much money? Next, I would probably say gas if you have a car. How much money do I have to spend in gas? How much money is left for food, right? This list can grow as you have room with your income. So, you start with what you have to pay. You set the money aside for that, like it's money that you don't have, first and foremost, okay? When you get your paycheck, say you get 2 paychecks a month. Say your bills, just to keep it simple, say your bills equal $800. So $400 from each paycheck gets set aside that you can't touch, that you can't spend. That is for bills only. So when those bills come up, it comes out of your bills fund and the money is there for that. Then, how much money do you have left for food? Like exactly. So say you make $1,200 a month and $800 goes to bills and you have $400 left. That means that you have, and I would actually include in there one bill that is savings, because things come up that cost money that you will not foresee, and that is always the way it is. So, you might want to say $100 is for savings because I need to set money aside for those unexpected expenses. So for me, as a bill, I call it unexpected expenses. That's exactly what I live. I have in my budget one line, unexpected expenses, because they always come up. There's always things that you got to pay. I've heard someone call it the oh shit fund before too. So say you put you have $800 towards bills and you have $100 for the unexpected expenses, and then you're left with $300, and then you divide that by how many weeks you have in a month, and that's how much money you have for food. So if you have to eat much less expensive food to make your budget work, then that's what you have to do. If you don't have enough money in your gas budget to go on a trip on the weekend or do those things, then you don't, but you see it and you're conscious of it and you live within your means. And eventually, if your income grows or you decide to work more, because basically if you're not living within your means, you either need to work more to earn more or you need to spend less. And the spending less has to do with honestly taking a look at what it is that you actually need and what is a want, right? And including with groceries, like you can have such a different range and amounts of that you spend in groceries because it can cost a lot of money. You can buy a lot of healthy things that are, there's been times in my life where I basically ate spaghetti every day and ramen, but I've lived within my means, and that was actually really important to my well-being, okay? So you can see how much you have for food. Now, if you have even more room in your budget, and this isn't going to be for everyone, because I'm aiming this video, I know that there's a lot of young people that this will help. I have 2 teenagers myself, so this is also for them. Okay, so I know when you're younger, there isn't necessarily going to be more room with the income that you have for more things, but you can add on to that. The very next thing that I would add is retirement savings. If the sooner you can save for retirement, the better, because compound interest is everything in terms of saving money. The more time that money has to grow makes a huge difference. So if you're young and you can just put 10% away, put 10% away and be like, this is the money that keeps me safe. This is the money that when I am older, I'm going to have so that I'm okay, that I will be able to survive, and that I will, if you can teach yourself that is a bill and you have room to do that, you absolutely should. It's such a good thing. I would say so many of us as we get older wish that we really understood that. And it's so easy when you're young to be like, it just seems so far away. It doesn't seem like an extremely important bill when you're young. It doesn't feel that way. But trust me, if you can instill that and you can learn that, you're going to be a lot better off when you're older. Because the thing is, you can get any fancy degree you want. You can be in school, all that stuff, but it doesn't matter if you can't take care of your money, right? You can it doesn't matter what great job you have if you can't manage your money. And that starts and is important no matter how much you make. So those good habits and skills with managing your money start when you don't have a lot often, okay? And then it carries over when you make more money, okay? So it's just, you make more money, you just have more room for a budget. You have more space for a larger rent or mortgage, or you can start to add on other things. Like, I want to have $100 for entertainment, or I want some money for clothes. There are other things like, clothes can be very important. You might start out being like, I have $10 a month for clothes, and that's what it is. But you at least know, and you're conscious, and you don't spend more than you take in, okay? But I would say bills first, and including right after that, emergency expenses or unexpected expenses. And then, you take a look at how much money you have for food, how much money you have for gas, and you break it up and you keep it. I now keep it on my phone. So, like, for example, I'll have food week 1, gas week 1, food week 2, gas week 2. And I just have the number next to it just to keep it simple. Say it's $100 for food. Say it's $50 for gas. Every time I go to the store and I purchase food, I subtract it from that $100 so that I know that I have now, say I spent $20, I have $80 left for food this week, and I have to stick with that as best I absolutely can. I mean, it's never a perfect system, but being conscious and doing that, keeping the list in your phone. Like, for me, it used to be a sticky note: food, gas, bills. Like, I have all the bills listed out, and I know that I have that money set aside because that money went to the bills first and foremost. Some people, they have a second account where they put how much they need for bills in that account so they don't spend it if you don't want to be as disciplined as having food, gas, and all, like clothes or whatever it is that you have on your list. But I still, to this day, will subtract from my food budget every single time I'm in the store. So you know what that does? It really keeps me super conscious of where my money is going, and it's a conscious choice and a conscious decision with my spending. I don't end up at the end of the month with not enough money for my bills, because every time I wrote to put gas in the car, I subtracted it. If I don't have any more money for gas, then I can't be going on any of the extra things that I want to drive to, right? Like, it's like I said, I have lived all over the map in terms of income, but this staying within budgets, learning to budget, learning to tell your money where to go, is everything for keeping you safe and well when it comes to money. And living below your means, if at all possible, is so important because that, 10% or whatever it is, that bit of savings that you have, that is what keeps you safe. It keeps you from having to ask other people for money, which is just, I feel like it's not a place you want to be, right? You want to be self-sufficient. You want to take care of yourself. And you want to start doing that from the time you're young. So when you're a teenager, you don't have bills. So you can save 50% of your income. And I absolutely highly recommend that you do, because then you'll have a base. And when you get to a point where maybe your budget isn't quite as tight and you can save, then your money is earning you money, right? Your money earning you money is you not having to go out and work as many hours or as hard because your money is earning you money. If you can be disciplined enough to say, I need to save some so that my money is earning me money so that I have a better life. I mean, that is the ideal. Okay, I know that you might not start out there. and maybe you don't get there until you're 50. It doesn't matter. Knowing that, having that knowledge, if you can start out living that way, it is much easier to start out living that way than to change that later on. But it can be done. All of us can do it at any age. It's never too late. But part of it is having the skills, talking about money, understanding money, talking about it as part of our well-being. So I wanted to give you this information about what I do. And it's like I said, I have every single bill on my phone. For example, heat. I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost every month. So I set aside, say, $200, right? If it ends up costing $174 and I decide I want to treat myself to a special coffee from the coffee shop because I actually stayed within my budget and I have $15 extra, I can. If I want to put it into savings so it earns me money, I can, right? It's a conscious choice, but I'm always safe and I'm living within my budget. I know, like I said, that life isn't like perfect. It's not black and white. There's emergencies, but this is something you can start doing as a time you're a teenager, when you're in college, and you have a certain amount that you get that's for your living expenses. You stay within that. When you have your first job full time, you know what you can afford. You know, if before you go out and you rent a place, you take a look at what you have coming in and what amount of room there is for rent. What is it that you can genuinely afford, so that you're always making really conscious choices and that you're not stuck in a cycle of lack, because you're always taken care of, right? And even when your income changes or goes up or goes down, you're taken care of because you know how to have those skills to live within your means, to take care of yourself, to be independent financially, in the sense that you're not relying on other people, because like I said, there are emergency situations. I'm not suggesting that if an emergency situation comes up that this is going to solve all those problems, but this is a huge skill set that is not being taught in school. It is more important than your degree. It is more, if you are able to manage your money and you make way less than someone else with a really fancy degree, but you manage your money and they don't, you're going to be so much better off in life, right? You're going to be safe. You're going to have your money making you money eventually. So trust me, I really just wanted to pass this on because I know that there's a lot of young people that are around me, including my children, that I want to help, and I want to just start the conversation. So this is just a beginner letting you know from my heart, I'm here for you. If you have questions, you can ask me. I will do what I can to help you. And I hope that this little bit of information, this is just a little tiny bit of information from my own life of what's helped me from the time I was young. So if you're going to have kids, if you're a parent, you can start maybe taking a look at this. You can start having discussions with your children, because it's never too early to start. They can be 5 years old and they can get $10 in their birthday card, and you can teach them, let's put aside $5. This is the money that keeps you well, that helps you be in the energy of abundance and instead of lack, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure we will have more conversations about money, because I feel really comfortable talking about it, and I know so many people don't. And I know that's probably one of the reasons why parents aren't discussing it with their children, or schools aren't teaching it enough. But also, if your kids are in school, say they're in high school or they're going into high school, I cannot recommend enough taking maybe a business class. It doesn't matter if they want to be in business, because that doesn't have to be what's in alignment for them. It doesn't have to be that. But there's so much, a lot of times, they can learn in those classes about accounting and budgeting, and that it can just be personal help for financial well-being. It doesn't have to be your passion. It doesn't have to be your path, but just so that you're getting educated in some of the areas that are actually important to everyday living. I would highly recommend it. And same thing with like learning the skills. Like we're losing so many of these skills, unfortunately, that, you know, being able to fix things in your home, we're losing so many of these skills because they're just not getting seen as important as, in my opinion, they really are. They really are important for your everyday living, your everyday well-being, including taking care of your money and managing your money. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you know of any people that you think this will help, please do share it with them. I'm Wendy Irene. You can find my links to my work at wendyirene.com or Give Love, Create Happiness. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. Wishing you so much abundance and well-being. Bye, guys.